speaker is Brother Nuri Muhammad. Yes, yes. Brother Nuri Muhammad is a highly requested speaker, minister, author, and entrepreneur. Brother Nuri is known for messages that have a balanced mix of inspiration and information, which has made him one of the most sought-after speakers in the country. Whether it's in a high school, church, college, prison, banquet, or conference, his gift to collaborate scripture, science, and history is a user-friendly way has delivered hundreds of messages a year in the United States and abroad. I'm actually going to speak from my heart and own experience. Minister Nuri, or Brother Nuri, I actually became familiar with on Instagram. Instagram is a place that I go. I curate it in a way with information that is educating, inspiring, and so on. And so I have to say it was Instagram. And I started following him, and I saw that he was actually going to be speaking at the mosque here in Chicago. And of course I went. I had to meet him and get his books to buy them for the Resource Center, which they're there if you haven't seen them. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to meet him and shake his hand and invite him to speak to all of us today. In addition to that, I just want to mention that there was a very inspiring message on reparations last week, actually. So if you want to go to their website, I'm sure there is a replay on that. But today, our title for the session is actually Health, Wealth, and the Repair of Self. Right? Health, wealth, and the repair of self. And that's so important because as we are fighting systems and institutions and looking for redress and policy, there are some things we can be doing to take care of ourselves, our communities, our families, through health and wealth and other types of solidarity, economics, and so on. And so with great honor and privilege, I present to you Brother Nuri Muhammad.
Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that irregardless to land, language, or label, creed, class, or color, race, religion, or ritual, no matter what name you call him by, there is but one God. And we thank that one God for his messengers, his warners, and his prophets. We thank him for Moses and the Torah. We thank him for Jesus and the gospel. We thank that one God for Muhammad and the Holy Quran. I come to you today, my dear beloved freedom fighters and soldiers in the cause of the liberation and salvation of our people. I come to you as a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and as his student, I am eternally grateful, not just to him for being the one that taught me everything that I know and set the example of the man that I hope to one day become, but if it were not an Elijah Muhammad, it wouldn't be a Louis Farrakhan. And if it were not a Master Fard Muhammad, it wouldn't be an Elijah Muhammad. So these three, we thank Allah, I thank Allah, God, for, and I'm honored to be able to be here. I said, whenever we were invited and she told me who all was coming, I said, well, I just want to come and give my salute and say thank you. And I want to ask if you all would do me a favor and give every brother and sister in here, no matter where they're from, that are on the front line fighting for the justice we deserve and reparations for our people. Let's give each one of them a round of applause. Can you do that for each other? Support each other, appreciate each other, show that you love each other. I'm saying that because in the work of dealing with black people, it sometimes is a very thankless job. And I wanted to salute you and thank you, Sister Robin, and thank you to your staff and team, and thank you for all of you around the country that have organizations and movements that are fighting for reparations for our people. I wanted to salute you because it's not easy dealing with us. We're so filled with self-hatred, envy, jealousy, and all other forms of negativity. She said I said it right the first time. I know negativity is not in the dictionary, but you know what I'm talking about when I say it, don't you? Unfortunately, the way we were brought into existence, according to the Bible, in 2 Timothy, it says that God talking, I did not create you in the spirit of timidity. But I created you in the spirit of power, love, and some translations say sound mind. Some other translations say self-discipline. I submit to you, if you don't have self-discipline, you can't have a sound mind. But that is the original hardwiring of the human brain. However, in 1712, when a man named Willie Lynch came as a business consultant to the slave masters of America to teach them how to get more productivity and lose less life on the plantation from the slaves, he said that I use fear, envy, and distrust for control purposes. In other words, the original frequency we were set up on was power, love, and self-discipline. And he came and altered our frequency of our brain to fear, envy, and distrust. I don't know if you've ever had a remote control to your television that you lost before. A few of us have. And when you get on the phone and you call and tell them that you say, yeah, I got a Samsung 65-inch flat screen HD. I lost my remote. How much would it cost for the remote? And they tell you $398. And you say, I only paid $450 for the TV. So you go get that universal remote. Okay, maybe it's just me. And when you get the universal remote, you open it up and they ask you what type of TV you have. And then it tells you if you have this type of TV, press this number, this arrow, this way, and then it's set for your TV. What are you doing? You're adjusting the frequency of the remote to match the frequency of the television. See, if God put us on the frequency of power, love, and self-discipline, and someone comes and renegotiates our frequency to fear, envy, and distrust, then when God talks, we don't listen. So because our frequency is off, we heard a command coming from Marcus Garvey, but we didn't hear the command. We had commands coming from Huey P. Newton, but we didn't respond to the command. We've had commands that have come from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but we haven't responded like we should because somebody re-hardwired our brain. Well, I'm hoping that in this course of health, wealth, the repair of self, that before we leave, we can re-hardwire the original man and woman's brain and put us back on power, love, and self-discipline, that when God and our people that are fighting for us talk, we can hear that command and move out and make things happen. It's very hard fighting for us because we are the kind of people that we don't necessarily pray for our leaders. We pray on our leaders. We run our leaders' names through the streets while they are alive and then name the street after them after they're dead. That's bass awkward. Y'all didn't catch that. So in order for you to do this work, the reason why I wanted to say thank you and to salute you, because in order to do this work, Sister Robin and those around the country fighting for reparations, you have to be operating from a sincere heart. And my teacher said this: the more sincere the motive, the more sustained the action. In order for us to be able to put in the amount of work for the amount of time it's going to take to be able to get justice for ourselves, it has to come from a wellspring of a sincere heart. And I'm hoping, by the fact that I'm looking at you traveling from wherever you travel from, just to come and get you some new spiritual tools you can put in your toolbox, that you can go back home and fight better for our people. I hope I'm looking at a room of a lot of sincere-hearted people, and I think I am. What do y'all think? Beautiful, beautiful. So I wanted to just say this before we get to the health and wealth and the repair of self. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this. He said, we are going to have to press the government for reparations. We are going to have to what? Press. Anybody play basketball before? You remember the half-court press? You remember that what? That full court, whatever it's a half, whether it's 3/4 or full, whenever you're doing a press, everybody that's on the court has to give their all. Normally, you don't even get a press call from your coach until you are behind. Well, we 400 years behind right now. It's time for us to call a press. And we need a full court press on this government in order for us to get what is justly ours. A press in basketball is a defensive tactic that involves applying pressure to the opposing team's offense throughout the length of the court. And the goal of a press is to disrupt the offensive team's passing and dribbling, forcing a turnover. We must press this government for reparations, disrupt their motion, disrupt their passing, disrupt their dribbling, with the hope of getting a turnover where the ball is in our hands. And if you got the ball in your hands, now you can score. You okay with that? Why is it necessary to press the government for reparations? Because the greatest crime against humanity in the history of the world was the transatlantic slave trade. The most wicked people that have ever lived on this planet are the slave traders, the slave makers, and the slave masters. Why should we press the government for reparations? Because people that have gone through much less than us have received it, and they didn't even go through quite what we went through. Why should we press the government for reparations? Not only did the Japanese Americans receive reparations, not only the Jews in Israel get reparations from America and Germany, even though Israel did nothing to America. Did you know that in 1862, Abraham Lincoln passed a law that gave reparations to slave masters? You mean to tell me that you can't give reparations to the people that went through hell, but you're going to give reparations to the people that gave us hell? There's something wrong with that kind of mathematics. We are people that have gone through the worst. There's never been a people in the annals of history that have caught more hell than the black man and woman of North America. Do you know that whenever we were in Africa, we were in peace and harmony with one another? We were a proud, pious, powerful, and a productive people. But we got a visitation by a man named John Hawkins. And he came among us and lived among us for 29 and a half years, gaining our trust. He was the privateer that Queen Elizabeth hired to fulfill what she called the 100-year plan. What was the 100-year plan? It was the plan to find a people that had the mental and physical strength to build a nation and also endure slavery at the same time. And when she found that people along the Nile River, they sent this privateer, John Hawkins, and team to this place on the Nile River to gain our trust. They never told a lie for 29 and a half years, gained our trust. We got on the ship thinking we were going to a place we can get more gold than what we earned in our own country. Then we got on the ship and we ended up being in America and didn't get no gold for our labor. After we got on the ship, do you know so many of us had that Harriet Tubman spirit, give me freedom or give me death, that our ancestors would literally jump overboard before they allowed themselves to be brought to America and made slaves? So many of us went overboard that to this very day, the sharks still travel the same route as the transatlantic slave trade. They have in their genetic memory that food will always be there because we always win. The mathematics say that over 100 million of us died in the Middle Passage. Then when we got to America, they did not, for the record, kidnap slaves. They kidnapped inventors. They kidnapped scientists. They kidnapped engineers. They kidnapped the builders of Timbuktu, the Nile Valley civilization, the city of Atlantis. They kidnapped the pyramid builders. And to this very day, the last living wonder of the world is the Great Pyramid Giza in Egypt. It's 451 feet tall, goes down into the ground 451 feet deep. It covers 13 and a half acres and is made of 1 million blocks of gold, marble, and granite stacked mathematically precise, north to south, east to west, going back and forth, weighing 3,000 pounds apiece and not even deviating 1 square inch. And we built it without John Deere, a Caterpillar, a bulldozer, or a crane. We used the power of our mind to move that stone, mind over matter, psychokinesis. That's how powerful we were whenever they kidnapped us. So when we first came to America, we came in 1555. But when you go to school, they always say 1619. What happened during this 64-year period that they don't want us to know about? That's exactly right. So have you ever wondered why back in the day, in the 40s and 50s, they had what was called a $64 question? If you were having a conversation with somebody and you couldn't figure out exactly what happened, you just say, hey, now that's the $64 question. It later became the $64,000 question. Why 64? Why not an even number 60? Why not an even number 65? What's about this 64 that the question that you're talking about is hard to find the answer to? It's because there was a 64-year hidden, mysterious history part missing from our history that they did not want us to know. It took them 64 years to break down a proud, powerful, and productive person and make them into a slave. The first slaves that came to America, well, how can I say it? We were too black and too strong. They had to kill off all of the adults and raise the children in an environment where they didn't know what the adults would teach them. There's something in nature called premature cognitive commitment. What this says is that if you take any creature and separate it from its parents as a child or a baby or young, and however you raise them, they will be locked into it within their own second nature. They have found through premature cognitive commitment that you can have fish in an aquarium, put a piece of glass in the middle, and every time the fish swim and hit that glass, at a certain point, you can move the glass out the way and the fish will automatically turn around. Premature cognitive commitment. They say you can take an elephant whenever it's young, tie it to a rope, and even when the elephant gets strong enough not only to break the rope but pull the whole tent down, the elephant can still be bound by that little bitty rope that it once was bound to. Premature cognitive commitment. They have found that you can put fleas in a jar, even though the vertical of a flea is 36 inches or 3 feet. A jar may be 8 inches tall. If you put fleas in a jar, put a piece of plastic on the top, every time those fleas jump, they hit their head, they send a message to their genetic memory, this is as high as I can jump. You can remove the plastic and the fleas will never jump out. So it was with us, killing off all of the adults, sparing the children. We were raised in America by wicked, no good foster parents. They put a piece of plastic over the jar. They put a piece of glass in the middle of the aquarium. They tied us to a rope. And now here we are in 2024. No glass is there. No plastic is there. No rope is there. But because of premature cognitive commitment that happened to us in 1555, we have yet to swim past where they say we can go. We have yet to jump out and get the freedom that we deserve. We should pull the whole tent down on top of the people that put us in bondage and go ahead and get our freedom once and for all. So by taking the young and raising them, then whenever we got on the plantation, became adults, they made it illegal for us to do 3 things. It was illegal to pray, read. I heard somebody say it. Have y'all seen the movie? What's that movie called about Nat Turner? Birth of a Nation. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Nat Turner, he seen Miss Molly sitting in that rocking chair reading that Bible. And all of a sudden, you seen the camera pan to the rocking chair, and Miss Molly was gone, but the Bible was laying over top the arm of the chair. They showed Nat Turner, then they showed the rocking chair again, and the rocking chair was there, but the Bible was gone. Next scene, Nat Turner was with a candle late at night reading the Bible. And just like anybody reads a book, you don't start from the middle, you start from the beginning. So he started reading about eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, life for a life, and he believed it was God's will for him to create revolution. And he began handling business, and he wouldn't have even got caught had we not turned him in. That's a whole nother lecture for another time. That was some negativity way back then. But after we were broken and made into slaves, premature cognitive commitment, now here we are, the direct descendants of a people that received the negative residual effects of slavery, but have not received the reward that we should receive for the suffering that we've gone through. Well, we have to be very careful because, number one, association breeds assimilation, meaning that whatever we are around, we can accidentally become like if we're not careful. In sociology, they say that 92% of the people that were born in a certain environment, when you remove them to another environment, they never escape the conditions of the environment that they came from. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this. He said that environment is stronger than heredity. That means that even though we're created into what? The image and likeness of who? Do you know if you're in the image and likeness of God, that means that everything that's true about God is true about you? Do you know if we're in the image and the likeness of God, that means when God looks at us, he sees himself. Problem is, when we look at ourselves, we don't see God. If we are in the image and the likeness of God, we're not just a duplicate, we are a replica of God. A duplicate looks like it's a copy of, but it doesn't have the power and the function of. If we're made in the image, that's the outside likeness, the inside. That means whatever God has done, we can do. That's the original us. Image and likeness of God. So, environment is stronger than what? Heredity. So if we're in the image and likeness of God, that means we have divine DNA. We have holy heredity. Prosperity is built in our plasma. We got God's genetic makeup. Meaning we can do anything we put our mind to. So the enemy knows that if I can put you in an environment that is opposite of that, it can override your divine DNA, your holy heredity, or your God's genetic makeup. That's why in the scripture, in Babylon, look at what God said to them. Come out of her, my people. Why? That she be not partakers of her sins and plagues. What are you saying, God? That if you stay with them, you're going to end up being like them. Your association is going to breed an assimilation. So you got to come out of her, my people. Scripture says we were born in sin and what? Shaped by iniquity. That don't mean we were born a sinner. We were born in a world of sin, and that world of sin shaped us into iniquity, and now we are sinning. So I'm saying that to say, one thing we have to be careful of in this sojourn of ours is not developing the Stockholm syndrome or the battered wife syndrome. Only three of y'all, okay, only three of y'all agree with that. Y'all don't know what the Stockholm syndrome is? In 1973 in Stockholm, Sweden, there were 4 Swedes that were held hostage in a bank for 5.5 days. When they first was in the bank with the people, they were mad at the people. They were upset, ready to fight, ready to go for freedom. But as time went on, they began to soften to their captors. Do you know that they say that when injustice is imposed or wrong is put on a group of people, the first thing we do is hate it? But if we hate something and we are forced to remain in it, hate becomes tolerate. And if we're forced to stay in the wrong after we've gone from hate to tolerate, next thing you know, we end up going to celebrate. And when we go to celebrate and stay in that wrong after we've went from hate to tolerate to celebrate, next thing you know, we start to participate. The Stockholm's Swedes that were held captive for 5.5 days, when they were let free, some of them raised money to help post bail for the ones that kidnapped them. They began to sympathize with them and began to promote them and defend them even though they were their tormentors. If that could happen to 4 people on a 5.5-day situation, what can happen to 30 million people in 400 years? I submit to you, we got to be very careful that we don't get this Stockholm syndrome. Next, we have to be very careful that as we press this government for reparations, that we do not put all of our stock in the government funding our repair. Did you hear what I said? We got to do some work to make sure justice is served, but we cannot put all of our stock in a government-funded repair of self. Y'all with me? Hosea 4:6 of the Bible says, my people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge. Well, in nature, for every action there is this equal and opposite reaction. So if my people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge, my people will be rebuilt by the acquisition of knowledge. That means that the first stage, first form, the first channel that must be repaired, it has to be the mind of us as a people. Is that right? But guess what? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it like this: anyone that will not treat you right will never teach you right. So if knowledge and acquisition of knowledge is the first form of repair and we've not been treated right, why do we expect them to teach us right? So if we're going to have reparations or repair on a mental level, we can't wait for the public school system to give it to our babies. We're going to have to give it to ourselves and then give it to our babies. Are y'all all right? Last but not least, we have to be very careful that as we began to make this claim, because the same kind of claim is made by a woman that was in a relationship with an abuser. Now she married to an abuser. She's going to take him to court for alimony. She's going to take him to court for child support. But a real mother is not going to wait for alimony to take care of herself and put food and clothing and shelter on her back and her children's back. She's not going to wait on child support to kick in for her to look after her children. She's going to do whatever she's got to do to make sure that she has the resources to repair self. We're going to have to be the same kind of people. The minister said this: we cannot demand respect from another people until we first show respect for ourselves. Okay, only 4 of y'all agree with that. All right. Let me see. Do you know that in almost every 3-year pocket of our history, 2,000 to 3,000 black males are killed by police officers or correctional officers? That's bad. But guess what? In that same 3-year window of time, 25,000 black men are killed by other black men. So we are killing 10 times more of ourselves than the enemy is killing of us. That shows that we don't have a proper respect for self. Formula is simple. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this: Simple formula to stop all black on black crime once and for all. He said, when you know yourself, you start loving yourself. And when you love yourself, you start doing for yourself. And since you are my brother, base word of brother is other, you are my other self. So if I know me and love me and am doing right by me, I got to treat my other me the same way. I can't rob from my other me. I can't kill my other me. To kill the other me is to kill me. That alone will solve the problem of black on black crime. I heard, and I can't say that I lived in this time period, but I heard in the 60s and the 70s that it was a commonplace for us to call each other brothers and sisters. Is that a true story? We need to go back to that. You know why? Because in the beginning was the Word. And the Word what? Was with God. And the Word, do you know was in mathematics is an equal sign? And whatever you put on the left and right side of an equal sign, you're saying it has the same power as each other? So if the Word was God, Word equals God, whatever force and power God has, words have that same power. Only 5 of y'all agree with that. Okay. Words are so powerful that not only do they describe reality, but by the law of substitution have the authority to create a reality. In fact, there's nothing that came into existence that God didn't speak into existence. He didn't just hope, think, and wish. God said, let there be light. God said, let the stars adorn the heavens. God said, let the firmament cover the earth, even when it came to making man. And God said, let us make man. So everything that came into existence, God used words to create them. The scripture says in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among men. That means there's a natural maturation of words. All words become actions. All actions become habits. All habits become character, and character produces a destiny or a future. So if we start calling each other brothers and sisters, it's only a matter of time before we actually become real brothers and sisters. Only 7 of y'all agree with that still. When we was coming up, we used to say blood is thicker than water. That's true. But guess what? Spirit is thicker than blood. Do you know if I'm your brother and you're my sister, my son is your nephew and your daughter is my niece? That means that every last one of us, we operate like the aunts and uncles of our community. That means that I don't see your child out of pocket and then gossip about him. I see your child out of pocket and say, that's my nephew. That's my niece. Let me go pull their coattail. And I'm going to tell you something, brothers and sisters. Sometimes children can get a message better from the aunt and the uncle than they do from the mother and the father. I see some parents know what I'm talking about. I experienced this firsthand, Sister Robin. One day I was in our building, I was coming around, and one of the brothers, being an uncle, had my son around the corner, and he was talking to my son, telling him all kind of stuff that I've been saying to him. And to be honest with you, I said it better than they were saying it. So I'm coming around the corner and knowing I said it better than they saying it, and I'm just listening. And my son's on the other side of the wall like this. That's deep. I never looked at it like that. And I was thinking, boy, if you don't, and I stopped myself. I said, you know what? What difference does it matter who gets credit for it? The reality is, as long as they got the message, whoever gave them the message, that's important. Our assignment is we've got to start speaking greatness into our children. And if we adopt the spirit that every one of us is the aunt and the uncle wherever we find our children, imagine if every time you seen a black child, you say, I love you. I believe in you. You can do anything you put your mind to. You're born to be great. Imagine if everywhere a black child went, no matter whether they were on aisle 9 in the grocery store or in the school or at the playground, every time they met an aunt or uncle, somebody was telling them, you can do anything you put your mind to. You're born to be great. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. I love you. Do you know it's only a matter of time before they start believing that? And we got a whole new generation of a greater generation than what we've had. Y'all all right? Yes. Self-repair. Wealth. First of all, I want to just clear this word. There's a difference between income and wealth. Wealth or income is the money you earn by exchanging a good, product, service, or time. But wealth is when you exchange that money for something that keeps value or increases in value over time. The only thing that keeps value or increases in value over time is real estate, a business for yourself, or some gold. Y'all got that? We got plenty of income coming in. We've brought in $1.3 trillion in 2024 and 2023. Do you know out of 226 nations on the earth, $1.3 trillion makes black people in America the 8th richest nation in the world? That means, do you know that Mexico has 103 million people and they only have $560 billion, not even half of what we have, yet they're taking care of a whole country? Did you know Spain has 47 million people like we do, but they have a 208,000 square mile land of a country with their own schools, their own hospitals, their own infrastructure, their own railroads, their own planes, their own nation. And they only brought in $637 billion. We brought in double what they brought in, and we don't have nothing we can call our own. That shows we got the dollars, we just need some sense. What y'all think? Listen to this. We got to stop blaming the white man for 95% of our problems and still spending 97% of our money with them. We've got to stop being the leaders in unnecessary spending. What is unnecessary spending? It's buying stuff you don't need with money that you don't have from people that you don't like to impress people that you don't even know. We got to cut it out. Unfortunately, right now, our brains have been hardwired from happiness to spending. We got to disconnect the wire from happiness to spending and plug it into saving and investing. And if we did that, we can get our wealth back on and be able to have something that we can call our own. What do y'all think? Last but not least, $1.3 trillion, we got to start spending money with each other. The mantra we must adopt from this day forward is shop with your brother before you shop with another. That means that any good product or service that I need, I'm going to search my immediate environment to find somebody that can sell it to me that look like me. And if I can't find them in my immediate environment, I'm going online and find some way to order it from them. And do you know that if we did that, we could be able to exchange money with one another and make a little seem like a lot? Right now, among the Asian community, they keep their dollar among themselves for 28 to 30 days before it leaves. In the Jewish community, they keep their dollar for 17 to 21 days. Even among our Latino family, they keep their dollar among themselves for 14 days before it leaves. But in the black community, we only keep our dollar for 3 to 6 hours. Wait a minute, 3 to 6 hours? That means if you got your check direct deposit on Friday morning and you worked 8 hours before you got off, the money's gone. That's bad math. A dollar circulates in the Asian and Jewish community 7 to 10 times before it leaves. But a dollar only circulates in our community 1/10 of one time. That means as soon as we touch it, it bounces off of us and goes to somebody else. We got to get it back. We got to get our Rosewood back. We got to get our Black Wall Street back. But whenever we do it this time, we got to make sure that we don't just have money, we got a military. Because if you don't have something to protect what you have will be taken from you by somebody that has more power than you. But whenever you got these kind of soldiers that are being trained up in the Nation of Islam, when we build something, we're willing to show up and put our life on the line to make sure that Rosewood and Tulsa never happens again. I can't stay on that point. I got 3 minutes. Y'all all right? I got some more, but I got to get to health. Y'all okay? There's a verse in the Bible that troubled my spirit. It's in Matthew 26:41. It shows how important health should be. It said the spirit was willing, but the flesh was weak. That means that somebody has the excitement, the enthusiasm, the spirit to carry out an idea, but they lack the physical health to facilitate and carry the idea to its end. We've got to make sure that we get our health right. Otherwise, we won't be able to finish this assignment. Dear sisters and brothers fighting for reparations, what you're doing is good work. But remember this, you cannot do real work on fake food. You cannot do real work on fake food. You remember that old saying, you are what you eat? Well, if you are what you eat, don't be fast, fake, or cheap. It broke my heart the other day, Sister Robin. I seen a Lamborghini in the McDonald's drive-thru. Now, you know, if you got a Lamborghini, you can't put no 87 in a Lamborghini. Not 89, you got to put 93 and above in a Lamborghini. So you got to put premium octane fuel in a car that's going to get you from the east to the west. But this body is the temple of the living God. This is the vehicle God is riding in to get from the present to the future. What kind of premium octane fuel should we be putting in our body? So if you want to live and we want to be healthy, anything in a box, a bag, or with a barcode, put it down and start eating real food. In fact, when God first created man, Adam and Eve, he didn't place them in the parking lot of Applebee's. He placed them in a garden. Well, what grows in a garden? Fruits and vegetables. We got to start eating more of those. Y'all still okay? Do you know, sisters and brothers, that if you are what you eat, there's a diet for everything that exists? If you feed a horse just bales of hay, it's a load-bearing horse, but in order for it to be a stallion, you got to feed it another grade of food. Did you know that the queen bee is much larger than all the other bees? But guess what? The queen bee wasn't born like that. The queen bee started off just as a regular female bee, and what they decided was this particular egg, we're going to feed it royal jelly while it's developing. And by feeding it royal jelly, the queen bee grows in larger in size, lives 3 to 4 times longer, and is smarter than all the other bees just off of eating a different food. What would happen for us if we got off this plantation plate and this slave diet and got back into the garden where God put us at and start eating to live instead of living to eat? I promise you we would have the health and the wealth to repair self. Thank you for listening. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Thank y'all so much, sisters and brothers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Oh, where are we going to be? Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Sister Robin. And I just wanted to say that I have a confession to make. What I planned on saying, I did not say. But I was just telling the brother at the coffee shop that my notes, I put a lot of dots because I want to leave room for God to do what he wants to do. And if I get in the way by writing too much, he can't do what he needs to do. So only about 3 sentences of what I said I was going to say, I said. But hopefully the rest of it was God himself talking to us to help us to become a better and a stronger person in this fight for the liberation and salvation of our people. I wanted to say, too, as I leave, that we have brought with us the books that I have on the market right now. As Sister Robin said, she came and got some and put them in the library to be used and read. But if you'd like to get a copy of it, and then I'm going to say this. If my people are destroyed from a lack of, and we can be rebuilt by the acquisition of knowledge is the best gift you can give yourself or anybody else. So as you listen to these titles, think about not just something that's good for you, but something that would be good for somebody that you love, you care about, your cousin, nephew, niece, daughter, son, somebody you're working on, somebody you want to help. And let's get it. We're going to be across the hall. I'll sign the book to you or them. We can write it to them and we can give it to them as a gift. Y'all okay with that? Mathematics of the Mind, this is our latest book. And I'll say this book is a universal book no matter what subject of life you're trying to do, whether you're trying to defeat depression, lose weight, or just level up in business, be a better husband, father, mother, or wife, whatever you're trying to do, I promise you this book will help get you there much faster and much easier. This book, I don't want to put them on blast, but I'll say this. Some of our most respected hip-hop artists, R&B artists, athletes, and entertainers have not only bought this book, but I've sent them 100 copies, 200 copies, and they're passing them out to their families. So I hope you will get this book, Mathematics of the Mind. Also, if you're looking at trying to figure out where to plant your love and how to find you a good mate, you need to get this book before you say I do. I don't know if you heard Steve Harvey whenever he was being interviewed on Shannon Sharp's show and on his radio show 3 or 4 times, he keeps making relationship quotes, and he said it's from this dude named Nuri Muhammad. And he said the coldest thing, what he was trying to say is this. He got it from this book, though. I said that the mate you choose after choosing belief in God is the most important decision you'll ever make in your life. For the mate you choose will either inspire you to grow into your greatness, or they'll confine you to complacency. They'll either be your other half, or they'll make you half of yourself. The minister said it like this: a good relationship will bring out the best in you and make you more youthful, while a bad relationship will bring out the worst in you and age you prematurely. So choose wisely. That was the full quote. You say, well, I already picked somebody and I don't, and you know, some weeds have grown in my relationship. Well, if your weeds have grown, you want to pull them weeds and sprinkle some fertilizer, we got you covered after you say I do. And I'm going to tell you, Sister Robin, this is what happened. Every time we got invited to speak, no matter where it was, all the organizers was pulling us to the side with relationship problems after the event. And I'm already tired from teaching. So I'm like, I can't keep playing down in the lobby for 3 hours talking about love and relationship. So I said, let me go ahead and make some books about it. So now, whenever they start pulling me to the side with relationship problems, I do it like them old school doctors used to say, here, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. And so far, nobody has had to call in the morning. We also have A Well-Made Man. This book has a breakdown of the gender-specific commands in the Bible, the Quran, and in our history as a people for what a real man looks like. And sisters, it's good for you if you have a male in your life you want to help become a real man. Or you got a boy you want to grow up to become a well-made man. This is a good book for you. This book is the best-selling book of all times till the Mathematics of the Mind came out. This is called Black Woman, the Second Self of God. This also breaks down the gender-specific commands, attributes, and traits of a godly divine woman from the Bible, Quran, and our history, and shows the how to develop them in real time. This is good for us too, brothers, so we can have the correct view of our women. It's good for you, sisters, if you want a correct view of yourself. Because if you don't have the correct view of yourself, if you don't see yourself in the proper value, you're going to keep giving men discounts. Y'all ain't here. Y'all don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying if you don't really understand your value, see, you'll be on the clearance rack instead of back behind the glass where the real valuable stuff is at. Okay, I'm going to leave it alone. We have Let This Mind Be in You. This also deals with the science of the mind and different subjects that are controversial in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is the 7 jewels of God that shows the formula on how not just to believe in God, but how to become the God we say we believe in. Last but not least, this is a book by my precious daughter, may Allah God be pleased with her, called How to Heal and Hustle. This is a great book on management of money, but more so the proper management of emotions. It has guidelines for building self-confidence, taking control, redirecting your energy, creating a safe place, moving forward, and it allows you to track your progress along the route. We just got a message the other day. My daughter wrote this book when she was 18 years old. And there is a sister who took a wellness retreat to Bali. She bought a copy of this book for all of her participants. And whenever she sent us a picture, they're on the sand. They've got Heal and Hustle made out of shells. All of them have the book, Heal and Hustle pillows. And the feedback that we've been getting from this book has been tremendous. It's in almost all the public libraries, but don't go to the public library, get it from me. So hopefully you'll come and shop with your brother before you shop with another. Right out in the hallway. All of them are $20. We can take credit cards, etc. I thank you so much, Sister Robin. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters, for being here, giving me your attention. And I pray that you got some news that you can use. Thank y'all so much. Assalamu alaikum.